Welcome to the Crimeycade podcast. I am the mad conservative crybearer, Stephen Lucas, former 1991 Nintendo Campus Challenge national champion, former Gamer of the Year, and current Pinball Expo champion. Our guest tonight, and by the way, a little bit of a miscommunications. I kind of assumed that anybody that all my guests knew that seeing that this would be on Twitch, that video and audio will be involved. Sorry about that. But I think we got it hammered. I think we got things arranged, things tested out. So I'll go welcome in my guest for tonight. He is the founder of jjgames.com, also pricecharting.com, some other ones, sportscardspro.com, and video game, was it VGCPpro.com, video game collectors. He's one of the previous owners of the only surviving 1991 Nintendo Campus Challenge competition cartridge. He owns some other carts, the 1990 World Championship cartridge. He had the Powerfest cartridge and the 92 SNES Campus Challenge cartridge. Welcome to the program, JJ Hendricks. How are you doing tonight?
Doing well. Thanks for having me on the show, Steve.
Hear you loud and clear. Awesome. Sorry for the confusion earlier.
That's all right. My fault for I wasn't really looking into the thinking thoroughly through the whole Twitch thing and everything. I just saw podcast and was like, oh, audio, but we're good to go.
Podcast these days encompasses audio and video these days, especially if it's broadcast on Twitch.
That makes sense.
So let's start from the beginning here, and I better plug your stuff. I have my scroll going on, but I also have your stuff rigged up on the scroll too. You have a bunch of websites, or maybe they're all linked together. I'm not sure.
Only two right now. So video game price charting became price charting. Video game price charts became price charting. And then Sports Cards Pro is the same company, but just the sports card side of things. And then I used to run JJ Games, but that I've sold that off and don't do that anymore. But at one point in time, I guess I had 3 different websites running, but now it's just the one company and 2 websites.
Now, JJ Games was based in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, but now you live in Colorado.
It was based out of Denver.
Oh, really?
I started it and where I've always lived, so it's always based out of Denver. We had a warehouse here, and then I'm not sure where it's based now. The current owners, it is since sold off to a couple of people, but since I founded it in Colorado until I sold it off, it was always in the Denver area.
This guy right here is going to crash the stream repeatedly. This is Cody. He is the crash cat. He jumps into the stream, takes over the desk, and sometimes sabotages the equipment.
Well, I'll be ready for it if it happens.
I guess. And he also bites me. Unprovoked, but he wants me to give him all the attention in the world, and so he has interfered in my podcast multiple times. So now it's already it's not even 5 minutes into this thing. He's already
jealous pet. Doesn't like you talking to other people.
He's not the only one. There's another cat in the house, but now he's laying right in front of the desk. And now I can't type on the keyboard, but I can still use the mouse. But if he misbehaves, I'll get him with this. Anyway, let's go back to the very beginning. What got you into video game collecting?
Yeah, I guess so. I've always been since I was a kid, a video game player. Played the original NES and remember playing a bunch of classic games, Contra, and remember where I was when I first played Super Mario 3. And I loved all sorts of NES games, and then played into college, played N64 in high school, and played with buddies, playing Mario Kart and Mario Party, that kind of stuff. So I played it all the time. And then in college, I started as a side business, started selling video games in my college dorm, and turned it into a bigger thing and made a website. And then after I got into that, it was always retro games because I sort of knew about that just because I played them as a kid. And then it sort of became a thing where I talked a lot about video games with people and talked to the customers who were buying video games and started to know more about the community, and I just got more and more into it as time went on.
Now you've gotten, well, I should, actually, let's go further back. What was the first video game you ever played that got you
The
hooked?
first I can remember so we had a PC back in the day at my house, and I remember playing. It was like I can't remember what it was called, but it was like a Lotus driving game where you would like drive a Lotus. Just it was pretty cruddy graphics, I'm sure, but at the time I thought it was amazing. You could control this game and steer it all around, and you had to do like the DOS prompts and everything. So half the time was spent trying to figure out how to get the game to load and what sort of things you need to type in to get the game to load on your PC. But I remember that being the first video game I ever played was an old PC game. I think it was maybe Lotus. Oh shoot, I can't remember what it was called. Lotus something, but you drive sports cars.
So yeah, a driving game. But was that the one? Was that the title that got you hooked in the gaming?
Probably not the first one like that got me like hooked. That I really started enjoying just everything. I think it was like the first experience, so it's hard to say that wasn't influential. I think some of the NES games were probably the most, like the one I remember the most in terms of like where I was playing it and remember like all the levels and playing with my buddies was Super Mario 3. That I didn't get it at the time. A buddy of mine had it, so we'd go to his house like all the time and play. We would try and like figure out secrets together and reading the Nintendo Power and telling him to go use this thing. And it says there's a warp whistle over here. I don't know what a warp whistle is, but go get it. And just sort of that whole everything about it, the social parts of it, the game was really fun. All of that I just remember being very memorable. So that's probably the first one where I was like just really got into all aspects of gaming and played it a ton. There are probably some other ones in between there. Obviously, I played other games then, but I don't remember them as vividly as Super Mario 3.
Now, I guess we're jumping ahead a little bit. You managed to get a copy of all the Nintendo competition cartridges. Oh,
Yeah.
sometime during your lifetime.
Yeah, it was.
You may not own them now, but
Yeah.
you had them.
Yeah, it was it was a really cool sort of I guess niche collecting world to get into, but because I ran JJ Games and then started running price charting, people knew of who I was and knew that I knew about video game pricing and video game collecting and everything. So with Nintendo World Championship, one of the 1990 cartridges, somebody had just reached out and asked me if I'd be interested in buying it. So we discussed for a long time. It took many months to sort of figure out the deal and get it all figured out. But then I bought it, and it was a really cool experience. And I really enjoyed the game and actually getting to play it. Like I never played it as a kid. I didn't even know that competition was going on. I just heard of those competitions from the movie The Wizard. I wish I had known about them back in the day, but I really enjoyed playing those competition cartridges with friends and trying to get those high scores and everything. And then because I had bought that, I had written an article on the price charting blog about the circumstances of getting that. And just so happened that someone on Twitter thought it was an interesting story. So they posted something about it, and it sort of became, I don't know, popular in the video game community for a while. So because of that, it got some, like my picture was in the a German magazine for having bought this cartridge, and just some other sort of stuff happened that came like, I don't know, 15 minutes of fame from it, which is kind of strange. But then because of that, other people who had these other cartridges would then reach out and be like, oh, I saw you bought this game. Would you be interested in buying this other one that I have? So it sort of led to these other circumstances where I was blessed to be given those opportunities to buy all the other competition cartridges at one point in time.
Now, somebody found all these before you got your hands on them.
Yeah, there's sort of different stories too. So like the Nintendo World Championship ones, where some were given out, as I'm sure you know, and a lot of the viewers do, but given out as like awards to some of the contestants, and then people who had Nintendo Power subscriptions got the gold ones, and I had both the gray and the gold at one point. And then the other ones later on, Nintendo did not give away those, like the 1991 and the Power Fest '94. They did not give those out to anybody, but they were supposed to be destroyed because those chips on those were really expensive, really valuable back in the day. So they were supposed to be destroyed. And my understanding is that some people who had worked somewhere along that process of putting on the show or working at Nintendo or something had decided, for historic reasons or for whatever, that they weren't going to destroy all of them. So one of the 1991 cartridges got out into the world, and then I think only one of the Power Fest, and there's like a different version of Power Fest that got out there. So it might be like a couple that have gotten out there now. But I think I don't know exactly what happened in terms of their employment agreements and whatnot, but for historical preservation, I think it's great that those cartridges got out there and that people can play them now. At one point in time, we had given like a bounty on anyone who can make a reproduction cartridge for some of those. That they didn't have any reproductions back in at that point in time. So we had said we just wanted other people to be able to play those games because there's only one of them in the world. Before it's destroyed and something happens, let's put it out there so that people can play it and experience it.
Biggest regret I have of winning the 1991 Nintendo Campus Challenge, I did not ask for a copy of the cart. I should have asked.
I know. You never know if you ask.
Because I knew they weren't ever going to use these again.
Yeah.
Or they was going to go somewhere or just kind of just go in somebody's collection, never to be used again in a competition. I should have asked for one of them.
You never know. If you asked the right person, they might have told you yes.
Well, they were all there, and they were all there. I mean,
yeah. How many did they have? Like, how many machines did they have set up? I was always sort of wondering, like, how many do you think cartridges they actually made?
Well, for the competition itself, there was 12 stations, so there's at least 12. If there were any more than that, I don't know. I don't think they set up a stage more than 12 players at a time.
Yeah. You figure they may made a couple extras or something if something happened, but
yeah.
Well, probably not that many more than 12 though.
No. But you know what? I got this. The one cart that survived got made into this at some point.
That's awesome. Is that like a retro USB one, or is that?
It is a retro USB one.
Okay.
Since I wrote information about the competition in the manual, I also signed the back of the cart, or signed the stickers that go on the back of the cartridges, and supplied my trading card. So every card has the signature on the back.
Yeah, someone walked me through. I'd never done it before, but someone in the video game like homebrew modding community helped walk me through how to get the ROM data off of the game. So all those ROM cartridges, that we didn't lose that data, and put it on my computer, and then we could then put that out into the world, made it public, and then somebody retro USB then made the reproduction out of it, which I think is awesome.
Yes, and Robin Mahara collaborated with him on this project here. Later on, I'm going to talk about what happened with Wikipedia, because I made some annoying discoveries on it today that had to be corrected. And at one point, somebody claimed I owned number 20 of these. This is not numbered. This card is not numbered. This is my personal, because I did this project with Robin. So this is an unnumbered card. All the official numbered cards were auctioned off. So you got this cartridge, and let me throw this up here. This is the article written back in July 2009, and I had to I had to relink this on that Wikipedia article because it was going to some. The link was going somewhere else. I guess the link changed.
Well, thank you for doing
Apparently, I'm not done because I gotta make more corrections. Well, I might as well bring it up now. What I found on on the Wikipedia entry, someone removed my name and put the winner of the 91 Campus Challenge, somebody by the name of Theo Buchel. Who the
it.
heck is
Maybe that
that?
is.
And it's
Well,
somebody out in Europe that did this. No username. It was just some random person switched my name out. And I
switch it
was,
back, I hope.
yeah, today. I also
Good.
had to put back the YouTube links to the videos of the news footage that I had that I posted on YouTube because they used to be on Video Life. Well, I changed them to the new YouTube links, and then sometime in the last few years, they got reverted back to Video Life, which is a dead site.
Sometimes those Wikipedia can be great, but it can also be frustrating at times with some of the other content.
Well, yeah. The other problem is anybody can edit it.
It's the good thing and the bad thing with it, I guess.
Yes. So in this article, we get a description of somebody from New York had all these cartridges, and I guess the owner of the cartridges was just trying to liquidate everything
Yeah. So
for pennies on the dollar.
yeah. So my understanding is from what I've heard, and this is I guess secondhand, was that this guy in New York used to work for Nintendo in some capacity, and because of that, he didn't put these items up like in his garage sale. He had to set other video games for sale, and then the guy asked him like, "Do you have anything else for sale?" And because he wasn't, I guess he didn't know if he was legally allowed to sell it or what the rules were about it. That he had then like made a sort of a side deal with this guy to sell these cartridges, but at this garage sale had amazing items like the World Championships, Campus Challenge, 91 and 92, I think PowerFest, at least one of the PowerFests, and I think there's a Star Fox competition cartridge, Donkey Kong competition cartridge. This guy, that's kind of crazy, this treasure trove at this one random house, I think is the reason that people go garage sailing is for things like this, where they hope they're going to be the guy who finds somebody who used to work at Nintendo randomly and has crazy games or has ridiculous art piece that's worth millions of dollars. Who knows? But this is the sort of garage sale that every gamer wishes they had shown up to.
And it's in New York instead of Washington State, where
Yeah,
Nintendo of America is.
yeah. I think that it was. My guess was this was somebody who was running the competitions in some capacity, not necessarily Nintendo like corporate, but maybe someone who is running a promotional company or something related to them, but not necessarily the like working at corporate headquarters. Or maybe they'd moved and brought all the stuff with them. I don't really know, but a
I
lot
know
of the
who
stuff
was
they had
running
was
it.
from the promotions.
I know who was running it. It was a gentleman by the name of Blaine Phelps.
Okay.
He
Did
was
they run
running.
all of them? Do you know, or did they run just the
He
91?
did the campus challenge. I did run into him at the very last Chicago Consumer Electronics Show. They had, I think they had a Parafest set up at the electronics show, but he was not running Parafest, the touring Parafest.
Okay.
I have no idea if he was involved in the Campus Challenge Super NES because I was out of college at that point, and they didn't go back to Southern Illinois University,
Yeah, I got you.
which
Probably not enough time after that either. When you're at college.
well, when I went to school, I went for it was an associate's degree in computer information processing, and my family thought at the time that was enough to get a computer career. Apparently not,
Hmm.
and everything that's happened is just basically Job requirements have gone up and up and up and up and up, and they wanted 4-year degrees, and then they changed it to, oh, we want a master degree with all these years of work experience. If you want to be a coder,
Yeah.
all this crap about learn the code, forget it. You're not going to get hired. I'm sorry. AI is going to take it over next if they didn't ship the job off to India for a contractor. Do want to highlight Mega Retro Man. Paul Tessie is watching the podcast with us. He is the world record holder of the 91 Nintendo Campus Challenge competition card at unheard of back then, 24 million.
Man, what was your score when you did it back in the day?
1/10 of that.
A lot more time to practice and get good scores.
Well, my personal high was done in the tournament itself at the semifinal round of 2.6 million, which that was the perfect time to get it because the personal best was better than everybody else left on the stage, and there were some heavy hitters who had scored higher than that in previous rounds.
Well, you do well under pressure, I guess.
Or else I got lucky. I don't know.
So you haven't beaten that score since?
I had. Well, since I have this cart, there's the scoring method I used, and that just about most people used it, was spamming the Goombas.
Uh-huh.
I can't do what Paul Tessie does and basically arrange all the pills or memorize all the screens and the order of the pills and then where to place everything. I think Paul took a few days to memorize all that in practice so he could get these chain reactions where he's taking out 6 or 7 enemies at a time, which is how you get the big points.
Yeah.
The only thing I could do that could beat my previous personal best was spam the turtles in the very first level, which nobody did back then.
It was a good strategy, considering other people hadn't had a bunch of time to play through and find all these other ways to do it.
Well, that's the thing. I was practicing at home because I own Super Mario 3. But I guess I just didn't even think of trying to spam the turtles because, you have to do it without a raccoon tail because you don't have as much control spamming the turtles. If you have the raccoon tail, you're descending. Well, if you flutter your tail, you interrupt your descent, and then you'll miss the target and then mess up.
Well, it's definitely hard to do any of the tactics to give you the high score, which I think is one of the reasons I really like the 91 is that it seems like there's lots of sort of valid ways to get really good scores. All of them are difficult and hard to do. But I think in 1990 World Championship, it seemed like there's really only one strategy, and people have to just do it really, really well and do really, really well at Tetris. But I think with 91, it seemed like you can get lots of points for Mario. Obviously, there's the ways with Dr. Mario if you memorize stuff. But I kind of liked it. There was different strategies to use rather than just sort of do really, really well at Tetris and everything else doesn't really matter.
That's a funny thing you mentioned that. So, Campus Challenge 91 did allow this how you earn the points you want, or however way you want to earn the points. You just had to play all 3 games, which led to my embarrassing loss against 8-Bit Brody, who I had a few weeks ago. The 90 competition, some players wanted to basically spam the turtle in level 3-1 by taking the warp zone in Super Mario before they got to 50 coins, spam that turtle until they had to move on and play the other 2 games.
Yeah.
They were trying to discourage that. I don't know what happened with 92, but in Powerfest, I tried to spam the turtle in Lost levels, very beginning of very beginning of the game. So they wanted to discourage that as well, and I had to kind of fight the organizer tooth and nail, and even called Nintendo to complain about this, and they ended up caving.
It seems strange that if it's part of the game, you think they'd let you play it however you wanted to, as long as
They
it was.
wanted us, and the reason why I wanted to spam the turtle in level 1 or in lost levels, I'm not good at sports games.
Yeah.
It was all about hitting home runs with Ken Griffey.
Yeah.
And that's what they wanted to do. But performance is inconsistent. You can get, I know Paul Tessie did runs on the PowerFest tournament card on his streams. Sometimes you get lucky, you hit the ball and it just goes high speed out of the park. Sometimes you hit the ball and it just pops way up into the stratosphere and you have to wait for it to come down before you get your next pitch.
Yeah.
And that's, if you're trying to earn the most points, that can throw a roadblock in your way, and what might be a good run gets blown up by a bad hit.
Yeah, I thought it was I liked that one the least of all of them. It just seemed like I didn't like the game selection quite as much, and it did seem like Ken Griffey. I was never as good at it, but it always seemed like it was much more luck involved than the ending with like the puzzle games, where you can get really, really good at the puzzle games versus Ken Griffey. I'm not sure you can get quite as good as that as you can at like Tetris or Dr. Mario.
Question in the chat. Do you know about how Tetris works on the 1990 Nintendo World Championship?
In what way? Like in terms of the scoring, or in terms of like, is it different than regular Tetris?
Depending on how you do in the first two games leading up to Tetris, the first 25 blocks are not consistent. After the first 25 blocks, everything's consistent after that.
Gotcha.
So you might get a different selection of pieces when you start Tetris before it gets to a more uniform piece selection.
Can't you sort of, based on like scoring, if you sort of standardize what you got in the first two games and ended with those same scores, wouldn't the Tetris be the same each time, so you could sort of control, or was it totally random?
I'm not sure about that.
Okay.
I do have.
I've never played it enough to know for sure, but I thought I'd heard that you could control those blocks to some extent, but I don't know to know how much. I've never done a deep dive into it.
So this is the 90. I have this copy, but I haven't played it hardly. And I should, but I think arcade gaming kind of took up all my attention. This was gifted to me from Retro USB because I was the 1991 champion. Oh, I got an answer. Depending on the score of Super Mario, the first 30 blocks are different. After 30, the blocks are fixed pattern. There you go.
Good control it then.
And he also says PowerFest 94 was very RNG heavy, like all the other competition.
Yeah. Well, I think that sort of, if that's true, definitely sort of makes it not as much fun if there's sort of a lot more randomness involved. I think it sort of makes the competition less fun.
One other funny thing about PowerFest, I complain. You don't know about this, but I'm a regular at Galvin Ghost Arcade up in Brookfield and playing a fighting game tournament called Bloody Wars. And I've been complaining about being paired up against newcomers that are like juggernauts. Well, the person who beat me at PowerFest at one of the locations ended up being the runner-up to the whole thing, Brandon Veach. So Brandon Veach was finished second overall the entire tournament. Well, I played against him.
Well,
and I had 3 shots at it. 3 different towns, and he got through, but I didn't.
Well, like you said, maybe you got lucky in the 91, but unlucky in 94.
So getting back to Rob Walters, and he was the one who found this garage sale. Does he own any of the Does he own any of the Nintendo paraphernalia he got from this garage sale, or did you get it all?
I did not. So I don't know if he owns any more still, or if he sold off everything he had at the garage sale. I did not buy any from him directly. So the stuff I had bought, people had just told me that's how. One of the people had said that's how they had gotten it, and sort of giving me some of that story. But I never bought any from Rob directly, the owner, actual person who ran the garage sale. So I don't know if he had more stuff in his garage, if it's still there now in his attic, who knows? But I assumed that he probably sold off everything to other people. If he's getting rid of some of these, he probably just wanted it out, wanted the money, whatever it was. But
talking about the garage sale guy or Rob Walters? Because the guy asked about Rob Walters.
Oh, sorry. I thought you were talking about the garage sale. The guy who actually
the guy who bought everything from the garage sale, Rob Walters.
Oh, gotcha. Yeah.
Does he own any of? Does he still have this stuff now?
I don't know if he does or not. I don't. I didn't at the time. I didn't hear if he had more. If he still owns some of them now. I'm sure he hopes that he had kept some around, or wished he had kept some, because the value of all of them, I'm sure, has increased a ton. When people are, I don't know what the latest Nintendo World Championship actual sale has been off the top of my head, but people are listing them in graded condition for like $1 million. So compared to how much I paid for it back in the day, that's a huge increase. And I don't know if anyone's actually going to pay that, but I never would have thought. Yeah. So I think
that would be $1 million for a video game. I was like, that's a Guinness World Book of Record entry, shouldn't it?
If it had sold, I think that was just like the list price. I'm just sort of saying that at some point in time, he maybe thought that was like a price that might be in the realm of reality. But when I had bought it back in the day, that was nowhere even close to what people were thinking. It was like buying them for $10,000, $20,000, which is still a lot of money to pay for a video game, but nowhere near the prices those items are going for now.
Well, that's about the price of a brand new pinball machine these days.
Now, man.
The Jersey Jacks, the Stearns, the American pinballs, brand new is like between $10,000 and $20,000.
Yeah, all those things definitely increased in price quite a bit. I was glad that I had started buying them and getting into that collecting those kind of niche things back when I did. If it was $100,000 to buy the things, I wouldn't be able to do that now. But I was fortunate enough to be able to buy them at a time when I did have enough money to do that and didn't have as many expenses with family and stuff.
I don't think I know of any art video game that's sold for 6 digits yet. Do you?
Yeah, there have been some graded like Super Mario games that have like first prints that were graded really high conditions. All of the ones that have sold have been like graded ones. There's definitely some controversy about that in terms of the heritage auctions and WADA and the grading and that kind of stuff. So some controversy there, but there's been definitely some high value sales in those in above 6 figures.
Wow. It's like, yeah, that's more than my yearly salary. I don't think I'm going to spend that much money.
No, they're definitely not people who are buying them for just having in their collection to put in their man cave. They're investors and stuff, I think, who are doing those kind of things that have more money than I do, or maybe they're pooling money from a bunch of different people. Who knows? But
and you saw, yeah, I didn't say this earlier, or maybe I did. The NCC 91 cartridge, you bought it for about $14,000. You sold it on eBay for $20,000.
mm-hmm.
What did you sell? Did you do that with the 90 and the 92 and the 94 carts?
Yeah, so all at different points I had bought them, played them, maybe had the like reproductions made, depending on the ones, but all of them I have since sold to other collectors. I thought it was cool to own them at the time, but other people I thought would enjoy them. Well, based on how much they were willing to pay, enjoyed them more than I did. So I since sold them off to other people.
So, tell me about the history of. Give me a brief history about collecting games. I know there's been a lot of chatter about things getting the economy reordering the collecting scene a bit. I've found YouTube videos where like maybe you shouldn't put so much stock as to how much they were going on eBay because the algorithm is not perfect. Um, gosh, I found out today. And you have this trading card. You sell trading cards. An autographed copy of this, which is my 91 Twin Galaxies card that I got for winning the 91 Nintendo Campus Challenge. Makes Sense Variety Store in Milwaukee, Wisconsin did sell this card. I gave them an autographed copy of this card a few years ago. They put it on eBay. They tried a few times, but it finally sold a month ago for $60.
Nice.
I don't. That's the first time that this card. I mean, I have a few. I had Todd Freeman print 1,000 of these, or Walter Day or Todd Freeman, both. They're both involved in it. Gave them $100 to send me 1,000 copies of this card for me to autograph at gaming conventions and stuff. And I willingly autograph these for anybody. This is my Galvin Ghost Gamer of the Year card. That's 4124. I'll autograph these for anybody. I don't care. I think if you want to buy these at auction, go for it. But
now that we have a $60 price point, if we can verify the sale, we can put it up on price charting, give people the value.
I'll send you a link after the show.
All right.
You have trading cards. Have you done any? Have you done any tracking on Twin Galaxies or the Walter Day trading card collection, or is it just sports memorabilia?
We do sports cards and then TCG, so like Pokemon, Yu-Gi-Oh, Magic, One Piece, those sort of ones. We have not ventured into, I guess, and then Star Wars, I guess, would be the only one that's not. It's like it's still, I guess, a game. We don't have, but yeah, we don't have every single trading card out there on the site. We sort of have the biggest ones, the most popular ones that people use as either trading, or people now, they've been around for so long that the previous generations versions are now pretty valuable and collectible, versus the ones that are, I guess, newer or more niche that aren't quite as valuable. But we sort of have started with the Pokemon, moved our way down to ones that are a little bit are not quite as popular, but we'll see. Hopefully we keep on adding them as people like the other versions. But sports cards and Pokemon are definitely the two most popular in terms of the trading cards.
And this is the Sports Card Pro site. And I see other card types down here. I have some baseball cards, but I didn't go out of my way to collect them. I won a box of them, and then there was an arcade game that gave out trading cards as prizes.
Uh-huh.
One of those Williams put out one of those old paddle.
Oh, interesting. Sort of like those coin games they have at like Dave and Buster's and other arcades now, where
you play baseball crossed with pinball, and you tried to hit the ball and move them in around the bases, and if you got runs across the plate, you would get awarded trading cards randomly, of course. I also see on here you have do coin trading, comic books, Lego sets. Let me just ask you this: what is the most valuable thing that you've traded through these sites?
That's actually like traded between the sites, or that we've tracked? because we have a
Um,
marketplace and people do sell between each other, but it's not all that, like, not as popular as like eBay. Uh, but if we track a bunch of sales that are very high value,
oh,
but if it was just like a transaction happening on the marketplace, I couldn't tell you the actual what the item was, but it's probably like a brand new video game that's like still sealed. We've had some things that's sold for uh, several $1,000s.
mhm.
It's most of the stuff that sells are generally between collectors and it's fairly high value compared to the average sale on eBay, because it's sort
Okay.
of people who know each other, or at least can trust each other based on the reputation on price charting. So it's the average value on our marketplace is definitely a lot higher than eBay's, but it's my guess is the highest sale is maybe something like $4,000 or $5,000.
Okay. Um, your personal history on collecting or buying and reselling.
Yeah.
Um, what was the most profitable resell you did, and what was the biggest
Hmm.
bust?
Good question. I think PowerFest 1990. Sorry, not PowerFest. 1990 World Championship was probably the most profitable in terms of like the dollar difference. It was the first one I had done, so I think I got a better deal on it than ones later on, and then people maybe knew how valuable some of this stuff was. Um, I think PowerFest '94. I don't think I really made very much at all on the resale. I'd have to look back on it and sort of see, but uh, a lot of them I bought them with the intent of I want to buy this, I want to own it for a while, and then resell, and maybe I'll make some money, maybe I won't. But some of it was sort of a I can write about it on price charting, I can have the experience of owning it myself, and then I'll sell it off at some point. Maybe it'll be a year, maybe it'll be 2 years, but I wasn't really planning on owning them long term. But people would pretty frequently would reach out and be like, "Oh, I saw you bought this. Do you still have it? Can I buy it?" So then I would then to sell them and to people, or to say, you know what, I've got multiple offers. I'm just going to put it up on an auction and people can bid on it, like I did with Campus Challenge '91.
Now, how do you determine, or how does one determine the true value of an item? I got a few things here. Here is a here is a cup. This is the Nintendo Summer Challenge cup, which was handed out at Campus Challenge.
That's cool memorabilia.
Well, I used to drink out of this cup. When I saw on some website that this cup was worth $50, I stopped drinking out of it. I put it away.
Found a cheaper cup somewhere.
Well, I don't want the bottom of it to crack
Yeah.
because then you can't drink out of it anymore. But I want to keep it, the paint on the, there's a little wear on this, but it's not very much. It's just on the edges. The dishwasher, if you run it through the dishwasher, I mean, eventually
Oh
the
yeah.
paint will fade away and stuff. But how
I think
unlike,
the value is for the things that are traded a lot. It's fairly straightforward. You just keep track of what people are buying and selling it for. There's a buyer who agreed and a seller who agreed.
no.
Okay, that's the price. And those things sort of fluctuate with the randomness and with video games and other items, like with the condition of the item itself changes. But with things that are not traded as frequently, it can definitely be a lot harder. That there's only one of a Power Fest. The value, who knows exactly what it's worth, but it sort of is the however much someone wants to keep it themselves and someone else how much it's worth it for them to have it. And if they can come to some point of an agreement on, okay, you know what, I'd rather have the $20,000 than this item, and someone else to say I'd rather have the item than the $20,000, then a transaction can happen, and that's the value. But those people trying to decide, which one of those would I rather have, the money or the thing, it can definitely be hard to sort of make that judgment call. But again, it comes down to those sort of personal decisions for people. And obviously, someone who has millions of dollars, maybe $20,000 doesn't seem like that big of a deal, and it's they'd much rather have the item versus other people that they can never fathom doing that. And so it definitely depends on the people and their circumstances and their values, but that's effectively how it works with those rare items is how much do I want this item versus the money would be.
And say millions of dollars, there is somebody out there that plans to open a video game museum in Los Angeles.
Hmm.
I don't know if you've heard of this person, but they're talking about they're wanting to. I still have my Geostorm, by the way.
Hmm.
That was the grand
Yeah.
prize of this.
Maybe one in the museum.
Yes. Well, I've had problems with the vehicle too, and I was like starting to feel like I'm about ready to get rid of the car because I can't drive it around town, say, without fear if it's stalling. But now we finally figured out the problem: a stuck fuel valve.
Does it
That
say like PowerFest anywhere on the vehicle?
no, it did
Uh,
not.
That'd have been really cool.
The geo emblems are all gone too.
Yeah.
The vehicle had the internals in the car had to be kind of replaced because they rusted away. Um, so the rocker panels got replaced, and it was like spent $6,000 to restore the vehicle.
Yeah.
Maybe I should have got rid of it, but it's a trophy car. So,
Yeah, sentimental value is high. Maybe
but
someone
now I
can,
need a pickup truck, and I got a primary vehicle I drive, which is a Prius, and then the Geo, which is just the leisure drives, or it's a secondary. But I got an arcade in the back of my garage now. So with full size cabinets. Well, if I
Mhm.
want any arcade games or pinballs, I need a pickup truck to haul it.
Yeah, it'd be tough putting those in the back of a Geo, that's for sure.
Well, not in the back. Well, Prius too.
Oh
It'd be
yeah,
easier to get in a Prius because of the way the hatch is. But the Geo, you have to drop it in. The Prius, you just slide it in.
there we go.
Um,
Yeah, I think there's quite a few museums people trying to make sort of a not really trying to make them national, but history of video games. There's like the Strong's Museum of Play up in Rochester, New York, that has a pretty good video game archive. I've heard of ones in Dallas, and I think they're in Twin Galaxy in Iowa. Some people around in Iowa, around that area, have tried to do some. So there was one in Canada at one point. A guy trying to do. I can't remember who it was, but I've heard of various ones over the years. So I think it's cool that there's people who are taking their collections and then trying to make them into public conservation and public accessible, so people
right.
can play some of these games. Because some of them are ones that there aren't that many copies of them out there, and I think it's cool just that people can play some of those classic games.
I did make it to the National Video Game Museum in Frisco, Texas.
Yeah.
Actually met Dan Kitchen, who had a prototype of Keystone Capers 2. He brought it to the museum, so it was the first time anybody ever laid eyes on it.
Wow. That's cool.
And I kind of have in mind all my Campus Challenge stuff will be kind of we'll go to one of the gaming museums. I guess in the will,
Hmm.
because I'm 52 years old. I'm not going to last. I'm not going to be around forever, and I don't want all this stuff to be thrown away. Now I'm going to keep
Yeah,
it as mementos for as long as I can, but I do want it preserved somewhere because who else has this stuff? Probably nobody. I'm probably the only one.
who's kept it all?
I kept
I think
I
it's
kept everything
important.
Nintendo sent me,
That's
including the
great.
name tags and the. I need to get the trophy, and I should have gotten this before I started the show. Stand by 1 second.
Yeah.
While I step away, I'll ask you a question, and I'll just make you full screen. See. Well, there is a bit of a controversy. I mean, you were. I guess we should ask you, since there's been some YouTube videos out there. There's 3 of them I watched today before the show because
Mhm.
I wasn't really aware of this stuff. I'm kind of a know nothing on how to price old stuff, I guess. Retro gaming guy, get the great games, show me retro, talked about your site, and I guess the point that all 3 of them made was Um, they were questioning the algorithm as to how to determine pricing stuff. Some of the old stuff, if it's like they go buy it in order to resell it later.
Mhm.
I don't know if you've seen all these videos. Uh,
No, what was their general,
it
I
was
guess,
last year.
comment?
All these videos. I guess the biggest flaw is that because it relies on eBay, um, there's questions of whether they're being the algorithm is picking the right things up, whether they're in mint condition or they're loose. Sometimes they claim. Sometimes it claims this item is loose when it's complete in box,
Yeah,
and then there's manipulation of prices where people will bid up a price on an item only to not pay for it, and then it gets relisted later. Um,
yeah.
I
Well, I
think.
think so we keep track of, there's about, I'd say, roughly 200,000 sales per day that we add on to the database. We have lots of different systems in place to try to put those into the right conditions, whether it's loose, complete in box, or graded, or whatever. Uh, and we think we do a really good job of that. We also have paid staff who review sales. We have users who can review and mark stuff as though this is incorrect. So we try to get that data as solid as we can. But yes, with the 200,000 sales a day, there's going to bound to be some items that are in the wrong places. But for the most part, those one sale here and there that's incorrect is not going to impact the price of here's what the value of this item is. With the way our algorithm is set up, that it will exclude outliers and it can factor in it's not just like a straight up average where you have one sale that's really, really bad, is going to just raise the price a bunch. We have ways that's a little more robust than that in terms of calculating the pricing. But yeah, ideally we want the data to be 100% accurate, but there will be some things that are going to be incorrect, and a lot of it is depending on what the sellers say in their listing. So let's say that they say, I have Super Mario Brothers 3 for Nintendo, and that's all
Mhm.
they say. Is it's hard. We don't know. Is that with the cartridge? Is that have to complete in box and they just didn't say it? Is that brand new and they didn't say it? So we will try to make those determinations as best we can. But the ones who sort of provide less information make it harder to do that. And we have some systems in place and some like vision learning things that look at the images and say, all right, this is a variant on this item. It's not, this person didn't say it was Player's Choice Super Nintendo or Greatest Hits for PlayStation, but we can see in the image that it is that item. We're going to move it to a different thing, even though the seller didn't say that. So we have things in like that to try to do it as best we can, even if the sellers don't really give much information. But we also then rely on users to report sales that they think are incorrect and move them to the right places. And we have paid staff that's reviewing those as well to make it as accurate as possible. But I think those are things that we are constantly dealing with and trying to improve. But I think that the individual sales that are incorrect, if one, two, even three of those sales on a list are incorrect, like they should have been moved somewhere else, it's not going to change the value of here's what we say this item is worth. Most of the time, if it's a really, really low volume item, that might make more of an impact. But most of the stuff that people are looking at on the site, uh, it doesn't make any impact in terms of here's what the value of this item is, because one or two sales might be inaccurate or slightly inaccurate or something. And it's also really hard for someone to uh, game the system and bid up their thing really, really high. They don't complete the sale. People can tell us and be like, oh yeah, this item was just relisted, and we'll remove the one if it looks like that rare item was relisted to the exact same person, maybe a week later. Oh yeah, this person didn't have two of these because there's only a handful of them available. So we can remove those kinds of sales, but most of the time eBay doesn't make it public if that transaction actually happened or not. And it also, I don't think necessarily impacts the value. If there's a buyer and a seller who agreed on a price, whether they then exchanged money isn't necessarily, they still agreed upon a price, especially if it's an auction, is that there were multiple parties who were bidding against each other and a seller who said, I'm agreeing to sell it at that price. So I think that is still valuable in terms of what's the value of this item, even if the transaction never happened and the person didn't pay. Obviously, if it's someone who's shill bidding and it's just bidding up the value without any intention to pay, or it's someone little kid who's just bidding with their parents' account and it's not legitimate, then that's not the same thing. But if it's people who are actually really bidding, if a transaction doesn't actually complete, it's still information that's useful for determining the value of what that item is worth.
And really, it should be just one site's opinion. There are others. There's a few other sites that, yeah, and this idiot has rejoined me. Oh yeah, yeah. Throw your tail in my stream right in front of the camera. Thanks, Cody. Anyway, they did use a couple of sites to kind of gauge if it was just kind of right in the middle, in between, or maybe there was a big discrepancy. Examples they did show. It did. What was the other two sites? I think something that started with the letter M. Mercule or something was one of the sites. Yeah, that was one of the things. I'd like to say Google Marketplace or Google Shopping, but that was not it.
I do. So I think that we have definitely people who contact us on a regular basis about things, but there's some people who, I guess, get confused with the listing prices versus the selling prices. So there's some people who say, you have this item listed for too cheap. All the ones for sale on eBay are $100, and you say it's worth $50. I was like, well, those $100 ones, no one's bought that yet,
right?
Because that's not the market price. That's just what a seller wants. And just like that World Championship, if someone says it's worth $1.5 million and puts it up there, if no one agreed to buy it, that's not really the value. That's just what someone wants. So until there's like a buyer and seller agreeing, so we always have, okay, it has to be the buyer and the seller agree on a price, then we'll use that price point. So we have people who get that confused in terms of like, well, it's saying it's worth this much on eBay, but that's what it's actually just being listed at if you wanted to buy it. And if it's a rare item, those prices might be pretty high because the sellers are hoping someone's going to pay more. But it all depends. We try to be very transparent in terms of here's the sales data that calculated this price. Here's how we do it. And people can review all those sales on eBay and then sort of make their own determination saying, oh, yeah, this complete in-box item, this one is a low sale price, but it's also really beat up versus other ones a high sales price. I can look at the picture of it and say, oh, this one was actually really, really good condition. It makes sense why it's higher. And they can sort of make those determinations. But it's hard when something like a video game where, especially when they're made of cardboard boxes, the value can change a lot based on the condition of that item. And it's totally unique is that the wear and tear on one item is going to be very different than wear and tear on another. And it's hard to just say, oh, yeah, this one is worth this much because it's in good condition versus another one that's very good, is that the wear and tear is different. And people sort of have to make that determination. And what we say on the site is the value, each individual item is going to be slightly different based on what its condition is, and especially if it's like an ungraded, which is part of the reason people do the grading, is to sort of take that guesswork out of what condition is it. Someone else has decided what condition it is versus ungraded stuff.
Initially, this card was listed for more than $60 on eBay, which is why I don't know the exact amount, but it was like over $100, maybe $150. I thought that was kind of extreme, but good luck if you can get it. Yeah. When I initially saw that, I was like, you know what? Maybe you should throw this card, an autographed copy of this card in here as well. You might get it. But no, they sold the original card. I think they still kept the other one. But maybe next year I will stop through Make Sense and give them another autograph card and see if they sell another one.
Yeah. Now you realize you find out the market value, you can sell them off for $50 a pop.
I doubt I would be able to sell my card, especially if I'm giving away at conventions.
Yeah, that's true.
So here's my campus. Yes.
It's cool.
I don't know how many of these are still floating around, but I kept mine. I've only taken this thing out of the house once, and that was when I was a panelist as one of the Nintendo champions at Midwest Gaming Classic. Mm-hmm. This thing does not leave the house.
Oh, yeah, that's cool looking. Man. What's the bottom of it? Is like it's stand, or is it just? Oh yeah, okay.
It's a
Cool.
trophy. Now, I did see. I'm gonna throw this back up on the screen. I'm gonna put these on the floor since the cat is sitting on the table right in front of me, and I don't want him knocking things to the floor. And I had a spill yesterday, and he just bit me because his head is right next to the mouse. This little idiot. You bite me, I'm gonna squirt you. Anyway, yeah, he's ornery. I'm gonna throw this back up here. Yeah, this looks like I don't know if this is. I guess this is the Japanese version of the Super NES.
The one like the system it's playing on.
Yeah,
I think so. It looks like it in terms of the console.
and this is the Parafest one, and I don't know what it's hooked up to. That kind of looks like it's sitting on top of a regular Nintendo system.
Yeah, yeah. So it has like a really wide uh, base, and then underneath is like a regular cartridge shape. So it sort of sits on top of the Super Nintendo. It's almost as big as a Super Nintendo, uh, but it just sort of sits on top, and it slides into the cartridge slot in the middle.
And this is the actual cartridge from the competition all of those years ago, the last
Yep.
surviving one.
Did you ever see them? Were they like you could viewable, or were they always hidden away
No,
inside the?
I couldn't see the machine they were running on.
Okay.
All we had was the controllers. I guess they were inside. We had we had the stand. Well, one of the videos you had. Here's the. Let me I'm gonna have to unplug my
Oh yeah,
speaker here.
forgot about this.
Yeah, if I had my headphones plugged in, the noise is canceled out.
Yeah, somebody, a different person had sent me 3 or 4 promo tapes from different competitions or just random Nintendo stuff. I think this was one of those promo tapes. So
Wasn't that in the garage sale?
no, it was not part of the. I don't think it was in the garage sale. Maybe I think that was just the video I just sort of posting information about if it's linked there. But they were separate transactions when I bought it. It was just someone who had a bunch of promo tapes from Nintendo.
As you could get a shot of that. Let me stop this 1 second. Go back over here. So this is what I saw, and I have the controller. And I did not see the system that's inside there. Obviously, it's mirrored to the front
Yeah,
as well. All these stations. And of course, it was on a timer. So that's all I see. I couldn't see the console.
gotcha. That makes sense. They probably don't want those things visible and didn't really need them there.
And coming up in a second, there's me, my younger self. There's my dad.
Oh,
He joined me, and
yeah. There's the
that's
keys.
so. I've been made aware, and you had this footage, and I'm glad you had this footage, or got this because I don't have this footage. Obviously, I have whatever the news crews had. Oops, stand by 1 second. There we go. Now I lost my train of thought. Daggone it. I didn't have these promo tapes. I had whatever I got from a couple of TV stations.
Okay. With their news coverage.
Yes. Now, apparently, the author of this book, which I'm trying to fish out, just sitting on top of and there's stuff on top of it. I don't know if you know the author of this book, Andy Cunningham. It's
Okay.
World of Nintendo: A Visual History.
Yeah, I've seen the book before. I don't know the author personally.
I did meet him at the very last, the Midwest Gaming Classic this past April in Milwaukee. He had his display, had a room on the convention floor, and had all this set up. He had the books for sale. I bought one from him. He has a treasure trove of video footage from Nintendo, and I'm trying Unfortunately, he's supposed to release. This is the first edition of the book, or actually, no. This is the first. This is the first part of the
Okay. Like volume
series.
one.
So this is covering 87 to 1990.
Okay.
There's supposed to be a sequel out anytime now. If it's not out now, well, it was scheduled to be out in June. I talked with the gentleman. I was like, I was going to contact him after the Midwest Gaming and kind of contribute information for the second book in regards to the Campus Challenge. He has not responded to anything I sent him and messages to his website. I'm very interested to see if one of the videos he got was a recording of the Campus Challenge from Florida, but I haven't heard from him. I don't know if I'm going to hear from him again unless I have to wait till the next convention where he's got World Nintendo set up. But if he has that footage, I mean, I would kill for it.
That'd be awesome to
Because-
get actual footage at the finals.
Yeah, because the clips I have is all I got. And I know when I was given Goblin Ghost Gamer of the Year, I downloaded all those streams from Twitch. I thought I forgot to download them, and when I got messaged asking, do you have a copy of this, and this? And like, oh, my heart sank because did I forget?
Yeah, man.
But there was a film crew that was shooting for a documentary. Ghost Lord, the Quest for Dark Presence. We got about 15 minutes left. I kind of had in mind to go for about an hour, but we get long-winded around here. We're not going to go 3.5 hours. I can tell you that. Oh, go ahead. I'm
I was
sorry.
gonna say it'd be awesome if you could find that documentary. It's probably footage of it's out there somewhere.
It's not done yet.
Who the people are? Oh, so I see. I thought you said
They're
there's documentary people who are filming the actual event.
Well, the Goblin Ghost, that's still in production because
Gotcha.
the game is not out yet. That this thing is surrounding, but the Campus Challenge, yes, I'd like to see some more footage. Well, since we got about 15 minutes left, and I'm not going to keep you up all night because I go to work tomorrow too. Although I've gone to like, oh, gosh, a couple of weeks ago, I went to like past 11:30. I don't want to do that. Previous guest I had 2 weeks ago, we talked about valuing items. What would one person buying 1,000 copies or accumulating 1,000 copies of the video game Dragon Warrior? This is by Christian Tony Dithering down in Texas, who did the Let's Play Expo and now does the ATG Expo down in Texas. What would buying 1,000 copies of one particular game do to make the remaining copies out there? How would it change the value of those?
It definitely depends on the game. If it was like the original like cartridge for a Nintendo game, there'd probably be some impact on most games. If it was Super Mario 3, it'd probably make no impact at all just because there's so many copies. But Dragon Warrior, there might be some impact. I think a lot of times once those prices start increasing, is that it then induces more supply. People who have them are like, oh, you know what? I don't really want to keep this anymore for $50 or $100 or whatever the price increases for the item. It's like, here's an example, but when Michael Jackson's Moonwalker game for Sega Genesis, when Michael Jackson passed away, all the copies that were available on eBay sold really quickly. I can't remember what the exact price was, but it's pretty cheap, like $20 or $30. And then all the prices shot up through the roof for hundreds of dollars. And then tons of volume came out. People were like, you know what, I want to sell my copy. So then the prices then sort of came back down to some other sort of level. But those sort of things, that if someone were to buy 1,000 copies of a game, as long as it's not like a super rare game, is that might just induce more supply from people who have it themselves. And it was like, you know what? I'd rather just sell my copy than get this price for it. Maybe it then ends at a higher price point than it was originally, but it probably just ends up costing that person a lot of money, and it doesn't really impact the price that much. I wouldn't think, unless it's a very rare game and you buy, like if you're trying to buy 1,000 copies of Earthbound, maybe that's going to make a big impact on the value because there just aren't that many of them out there that people want to sell.
Like this one.
Yes, if it's that sort of NES copy like that would definitely, if you could find 1,000 of them, you'd be doing pretty well.
This game wasn't released in the United States. I didn't know there was an NES version of this, or at least
I think it was never
Famicom.
in the U.S., but I think it was like the just a prototype for the U.S. market.
Okay, and I see 5 copies of this up here. Which that garage sale, I'm kind of surprised they had that many copies of it.
Yeah,
there's the jackets.
I always thought the jackets were cool. The that one there, but also for the Star Fox competition, they had a cool jacket. I just thought it was just a fun prize for people.
Going down, these are the promo tapes. Now this was in the garage sale, or you just they're in the garage sale because that's
I bought the ones I bought were separate, so I'm not sure if they originally came from the garage sale, but it was multiple years later, and the person never told me they came from the garage sale. So I always assumed it was just some different copies that came from Nintendo's promo department, because they probably sent those out to lots of different people, studios and news crews, all these different people. So there's probably hundreds of copies of those promo tapes out there.
Well, these up here, I've never seen one. I don't think there's that many of them out there. At least I certainly don't have. I've certainly never heard of one. This I'd be interested in having, but I don't know who would have one of these. And I believe that's the dump of, I believe that red tape is this video here, the Campus Challenge 92.
Yeah, I think you're probably right.
This right here, I also was kind of surprised to see the Nintendo vase, or maybe it's a glass. It says 92 Nintendo Open Champion. So I'm the only Campus Challenge National Champion. 92 did not have a finals. They just took each campus winner, I guess 30 campuses, threw them in a hat, the names, drew one out, and gave them $10,000.
Oh, really? Yeah.
So I'm the only one who got a trophy and played in a final. This right here, I saw Open Champ. There was another trophy in the Campus Challenge. It was the Nintendo Open. Me winning the tournament, if everything went according to plan, which it did not, me winning the tournament, I was supposed to play a kid from Australia for the Nintendo Open, which was, it's not a glass, it was kind of more of a bowl.
Okay.
And much shorter than this.
But it never happened?
It was canceled because the kid from Australia, I guess, caught a cold. And he ended up, he was not feeling well and decided to sleep in instead of show up for rehearsal, which was kind of like when they brought everybody up in front of the cameras to do interviews. That's another reason I need the Campus Challenge videos, because I talked in front of the camera for quite a while, kind of throwing some history in there as to giving credit to Nintendo for reviving gaming in the United States, because I grew up on Space Invaders and Atari 2600. I was not happy that, I wasn't done gaming when the video game crash happened. And I was like, I still want, I'm still having fun playing these games. I still want to get new ones. And it's like, now nobody's going to sell these anymore. And then everything kind of shifted over to computers and stuff, until Nintendo kind of got their got a foothold in the market, which this book here kind of covers, Worlds of Wonder got Nintendo back into the stores, which they also tie this somehow to the success of Teddy Ruxpin.
Huh.
The doll, yes, there's videos out there I saw. Worlds of Wonder um, sold the Teddy Ruxpin doll,
Okay.
or the animatronic, I guess we could call it, because that's what it is. It was through that, it was through them that Nintendo got into the toy stores and the department stores. And then I guess Super Mario Brothers was the killer app that everybody had to get a Nintendo system just for that game. I know I saw it in the arcade first because it was in those versus. So Aladdin's Castle's where I saw it. At Aladdin's Castle, people were playing. I was like, oh, I've played Mario Brothers, but I've never seen this before. And it's like, side-scrolling levels. You're fighting the turtles again. It's like, wow, I got to play this, and I started playing it, and then at the arcades, and then see the NES system, and then the displays at Toys R Us, and I'm playing them, and it's like they're time limited, of course, before they reset on you. It's like, okay, I want a Nintendo system. Well, the parents weren't thrilled with that.
Yeah, they're pretty sensitive.
And they were trying to get me to, I guess, sell, my Atari collection to fund the Nintendo, but I didn't want to. I didn't want to get rid of it. I still playing the other stuff, and I also had an Atari 1200 XL, and of course, Atari had the crash, and they were not. It was just trying to find peripherals for it to play games, and then pure piracy ended up just kind of keeping the gaming scene going until product got into the stores again.
It was great that it did. I think it's been sort of changed gaming history because Nintendo's home consoles became popular, and I definitely was my intro. I played Atari 2600 and other Atari systems, but Nintendo is what got me into it. And I think there's a lot of people who, thanks to that and then other home consoles, got into the gaming, game playing, game collecting sort of world.
Anything you want to plug? Anything, current projects or future goals you have going?
I guess the newest sort of thing with price charting, we have a iOS app for iPhones that is really, really popular. A lot of people like having the data on their phones on the go. We're working on an Android app to go along with the website. So I think it's just continuing to improve the price charting, and that's sort of what we focus on, is making it incremental improvements all the time. At some point, we might add some other categories, other things people want to collect. People contact us all the time about, you should add video game figurines, or you should add dolls, you should add Barbie. Who knows what all those different things do? But
I see all those right behind you, up close to the ceiling in the corner, including a lunchbox.
Yeah, I have a Mario lunchbox. Someone had randomly included in a package when I bought video games with JJ Games. Someone had included a bunch of you get random things in the packages, and that was one of the ones that someone shipped me, and I thought it was really cool. I was never cool enough as a kid to have a lunchbox like that, but I wish I did when I was a kid.
I had a Pac-Man lunchbox. I wish I still had it.
Oh, yeah.
But I'm not willing to pay $40, $50, $60 for one now.
Yeah.
I forgot to pull these out, and this is two other items I wanted you to look at. I have a Campus Challenge shirt. It's a large. Oops.
Cool. It would have been really cool if they put that logo on the Geo itself. I'm surprised they didn't do that.
Well, the problem is, the car in Florida wasn't the car that it was the same color, but it was a stick shift. I drive an automatic. I got my vehicle from a local dealership in Jacksonville, Illinois, where I lived at the time.
Oh, gotcha. Okay.
So this is
Looking like you got it right there in Florida and it's already painted or something.
Oh, here's my Parafest shirt. I have
Cool.
2 of these. My sister had the other one, but she gave it back. I guess she didn't want to wear it, or ended up with both of them. This shirt here, went online and saw that this was selling for 3 digits. Like,
Really?
really? I also have a Sega Genesis tournament shirt as well. I did participate in that one, but I won a Sega Genesis and $100, but I did not go to wherever they had the finals. I think it was Hawaii.
Isn't that the one they did at Blockbuster stores? Is that
that is a separate deal.
separate one? Okay.
I did not, and that was later.
Okay.
Well, we're towards the end of the podcast. Yeah, I did ask you about future goals. Any final thoughts? Anything you want to share with the viewing audience?
No, I guess I always like to tell people with collecting, and people ask me about what they should collect or what they should pay for things. And I think the biggest is just collect what you enjoy and don't worry so much about doing it for investment or making profit on it. But are you going to enjoy the things you're going to have, especially with video games, is you can play the collectible. You get to actually do something with it rather than just like putting it on a shelf. And I've always liked that with games. So is if you enjoy it, you like the game, go ahead and pay for it and play it, but don't focus so much on the completionist or I'm buying this for an investment. I think in some ways that sort of takes some of the enjoyment out of it. So buy what you enjoy and you'll be happy with your collecting.
Well, it's easier to get a complete set if the number of if the library is small, like for a Virtual Boy or maybe the Neo Geo Pocket.
Yeah, it's definitely a lot easier when it's a small library that didn't work so well, the console. But if you're trying to get a complete library for like PS2 or PS3 or something,
or the Nintendo or the Atari 2600, and there's new titles coming out for the 2600. Even to this day, I know they're homebrews, but good grief, look, they've put games on the 2600 I didn't think were possible. Robotron, obviously somebody did a better version of Elevator Action, and Ladybug. What was the last? Oh, somebody did Star Castle, and they thought that wasn't possible. And 2 different versions came out.
That's cool. Years later, people are still making the cartridges and pushing the hardware. It's kind of a cool community. People get into those. I'm going to make games for Nintendo or Atari 2600 or whatever, but I think it's fun that people are still making games for them. I think most collectors will focus on the ones that were licensed and made back in the day, but I think it's great that you can still play new ones that people are creating now.
I should ask this. Are you making any appearances at any gaming conventions in the near future or plan to do?
I don't have any plans to do any. I've gone to some in the years past. I'll randomly show up at ones I think are fun here near Denver. But I don't do any. I don't have any plans like for the company to show up and do something or do like an official appearance. I mostly show up at those shows for my enjoyment of the gaming itself rather than for like a business reasons, I guess.
Do you participate in any competitive gaming currently?
No, I am not good enough. So at one point in time, I'll see if it's down here, but give me a second. Let me grab this picture I got framed.
Okay.
What? So the highlight of my competitive gaming was, you might be able to see, but my name is in a Nintendo Power for beating Metroid Prime. That was one of the 4th fastest beater back in the day, like after the game had first come out. That was the extent and the highlight of my competitive gaming was Metroid Prime completion time. But since then, people have destroyed that time, and I realized that I'm not that good at those games. And I get to the point where, I've beaten the game, I've enjoyed it, but I'm not willing to put in the extra time to get to master all those different things to get competitive. So it has not been. I appreciate people who do it, and I can see the skill, but it's not my forte.
Nintendo Power didn't mention my Campus Challenge win in its magazine at all.
Really? So I've been Nintendo Power and you haven't?
No.
That doesn't seem
Even
right.
though I plugged them in my victory speech. It's like they didn't put me in there. They gave all the coverage to Thor Ackerlin, which is why I kind of felt like I was in his shadow all these years. I still want to meet him. I tried to meet him down in Dallas because I had a panel down there in 2018 for the Let's Play Expo and was going to do a panel with him. I arranged to do a panel with him, and he couldn't break out of work.
Bummer.
Ugh. I've invited him to be on this podcast, and he has not responded either. Ugh. I still want to meet him though, and I need to meet him because we have not met each other ever, and I'm the one who came after him.
Well, maybe someday I'll get cross paths at some convention or something. But
Well, I'll have to travel to Texas again, I guess. But if I can get him on this podcast, I mean, I can meet him on video.
yeah.
So,
Well, thank you
JJ,
so much for having me on the show.
yep, JJ Hendricks, who runs PriceCharting.com and formerly of JJ Games and Sports Cards Pro, and video games. Can you spell
The
it
other
out?
one's a
Video game pricing chart.com or VGPC.com. There we go. Wow, that's a lot. All right.
busy guy. Thank
All
you so much.
Thank you very much for joining me tonight, and have a good evening. And I know you're in the Mile High City, but no, they got some arcades over there. I don't know. Is any good arcades over there?
Yeah, there are a few. I think there's nothing like a giant, I don't know, amazing arcade that's like nationally known or anything. But we have some fun arcades that. There's one we like to go to that me and my kids that you pay $5 entry fee, and then they have all the arcade machines are all free to play, and then you can also play like coin op games and stuff like that and pay money for that. But it's super good value for playing all the classic arcade things, the Ninja Turtles and Simpsons, like 4-player games, and the shooter games, the fighting games, all those fun ones. So that's a fun one. The Colorado Springs, they have some really cool, like really big arcade that in Manitou Springs that has a huge collection of like really really old, like some of the original like arcade sort of machines. Weren't even like video related. It was just like, I don't know, moving a marble and doing the random sort of stuff, but all the way up to like newer ones and all sorts of coin op machines, and it's a fun place as well.
Like Galvin Ghost, my favorite place. If you ever run out to the Midwest again, you gotta go to the Galvin Ghost Arcade.
All right.
All right, JJ, thank you for joining me for tonight, and
Yep.
have a great evening.
You as well.
All right.
Thank you.
Whoop. Sorry, cut you off. Thank you. You're welcome. Good night. All right. Before we get out of here, I've got some news to cover. So there has been new house highs and world records. This is just a rundown. Now, not everything was covered. Oh boy, this is wrong up here. I'll have to correct that later. Anyway, new house highs and world records. Top Hunter. I was at Goblin Ghost Arcade last weekend. Got the top score on Top Hunter, Roddy, and Kathy. That was standings. That's been standing for multiple years, previously held by Pete Gorse. I started playing that game. It was at Midwest Gaming Classic. The guys, Games and Beer had a Neo Geo cabinet, and that was one of the games on there. And then I started playing that towards the last, I don't know, hour of the convention, and it's like starting to make some progress, getting over 100,000, and it's like I played a long time ago, but I wasn't any good at it, and I didn't think I was making much progress, and I kind of went back to it, and I was like, maybe I got a chance to take the score, and I did last weekend. Dark Seal 2, that is the sequel to Gate of Doom. It's actually 104,300 is the score I got on that. I don't know why. Looks like I copied and pasted and just did not correct this. Oh, well. Anyway, that was the score that they did cover in the Monday Mystery Game stream. Chris Blackie also took Giga Crusaders. Andrew Owasco took Tin Star. I was hacking on that game. I got about 66,000. I was going for James White's score, who had over, didn't cross the 100,000 mark, but didn't quite get there. I would have had it if I survived a little longer in level 5. Claudio Capello, and he's from my neck of the woods in the Springfield Chatham area, took Alligator Hunt. One score that was missed in the rundown, a gentleman by the name of James Chance took Tetris the Grandmaster on last Sunday with 150,988. And they posted it briefly, but took it back down. There's been a little bit of question as to basically verification of this score. Now I put 21,000 or 21 million. That's not the actual score. Originally, it's posted as 23 million. So Mortal Kombat has a bug, a scoring bug that's similar to what Galaga has. You have to play the game from the player 2 side for the score to display correctly. Once you hit 10 million on the player 1 side, it rolls over. So it doesn't know how to display 8 digits on the player 1 side correctly. I don't know why that is, but when the score rolls over, then it adds another. It miscalculates and throws another 2 million in there, and I don't know what's up with that. But crossing 10 million is easily done by defeating Reptile, and he beat Reptile, and then 1 CC'd the game, and that would get you over the get you close to 20 million points. The world record is like 26 million. So that score is still being verified. Hopefully that will be reposted to arcade.com in the very near future, but they got to check that out a bit more. Well, an update on the chase for tokens, and James White still way ahead. It hasn't closed, the gap hasn't closed any too much, other than the spread between James White and Owasco is about 700. Obviously, with me claiming a few scores last weekend, I was able to move up a little bit, but I need to put in scores with high token counts so I can catch Jamie Tibbetts. Now, I'm going back there this weekend to the Goblin Ghost Arcade. I wanted to play Cyberlip, and they took it off the floor because the cabinets the cabinet with Cyberlip in it was needed to put one of the Money Mystery games in there. Savage Quest was one of them. The other game was, I believe, Ninja. It's Ninja something. It's not Ninja Combat. I got to go back and look here because. Oh, great. So apparently there's some fussing about the presidential debate tonight, which I chose not to watch the debate live. I decided to do this podcast. Well, if you chose to watch it instead of this podcast live, I mean, more power to you. I have better things to do than to watch the Clown News Network. And besides the fact that I ditched cable anyway, so it's kind of, I don't miss having cable whatsoever. And, well, let me get that game. I got to get that game up. What was the other one? I know it was Ninja Masters. That's what it was. Okay. Well, Cyberlip was one of those cabinets, and I was disappointed that I could not play that game last weekend because I can take that score. It's pretty low hanging fruit as far as I'm concerned. Power rankings, and we're getting close to the end of June. I know it says mid-June up there, but that's incorrect. Little Josh jostling for position. Well, you know what? I don't think this is the most up to date version of this. I thought I updated it because there's been some changes a little bit. Let me verify that real quick. Nope, it's the correct order. Okay. Uh, for a little bit, James White moved ahead to Jim Patzer, but that's when he had the 10 star 10 star score. He had the house high for that until Andrew beat it. So, but Andrew's been stuck on 190 house highs. He's been trying to get to 200, but he's been stuck at this number for quite some time. He has not been able to get the 10 more high scores he needs to reach 200. And that's been one of my predictions for the year 2024 is he would get to 200 house highs. You'd also take the Professor Token Taker spot from James White, but that has not happened yet. He's still got a little ways to go before that happens. And with me taking a couple of scores, and this number should be a little higher than that, I have not passed James White. I'm like sitting at about, wait a minute. I'm at 288. So I guess they did correct that other score. So I'm 2 tokens away from moving back up. Okay. This is not quite up to date, but I will update that soon. And at the current time, Gamer of the Year odds, Andrew Owasco still his to lose again. Now, if anybody new has a chance of winning Gamer of the Year, it's going to be Jim Patzer, or if somebody happens to defeat Justin Zerst at T20. Gosh, I needed a drink. If somebody beats Zerst at T20, takes the gold, and the top prize is like $500, second $200, third place $100, and the side turn is $100. If somebody beats Zerst, they're probably going to win Gamer of the Year because Zerst has won 8 out of 9. The only tournament that he sat out was the one that I won. So, we'll have to see. It's right now, it's a race between Owasco and Patzer. I don't know if anybody else is going to be able to be a serious contender for Game of the Year at this moment. But if somebody wins T20 that's not Zerst, then things are going to get real interesting 2 days after the end of T20. And looking at this, the 1943 Arcade Wars. Well, I did go in the arcade and moved up, put in a nice 680,000 score. And welcome in whoever joined me on the stream just now. If we get, so we're quite behind. Hold on one. Anyway, whew. Hey, I wonder if I can make this bigger. Nope, I can't do it. Let me do it. Well, no matter. Right now, me and Claudio put in the top scores. Brendan Travis is trying to get his score up. He's at 244. Somebody's got to beat that third place score if Galvin Ghost is going to move up, because right now, 1, 2, 3, we're sitting in fourth place. I know there's people who've played 1943 at Galvin Ghost, and we gotta get them in there. I mean, the game isn't. I surprised myself when I got 608,000, because at home I've been practicing and I got nowhere close to this. So let's see. I will put in another play this weekend. So let's run down the conventions. There's been Missouri Game Con July the 27th, And there's been a bit of news on Missouri Game Con. The celebrity guest, he's the voice of Squidward in voice of Squidward on SpongeBob SquarePants. What's his name? Richard Bumpus? I believe that's who it is. Pull up his name. Yeah, that's Roger. Yes, Roger Bumpus had to cancel out of the convention. Unfortunately, I guess something went down and he could not be there. So he was the major guest at the convention this year. But even with him not there, the convention is in a much bigger venue than it was last year. So, and I will have my vendor table again. I will also be signing my trading cards again. I'll have my Pinball Expo title belt there for this convention. I'll let people take pictures with the belt if they so choose. So it'll be a fun time. But if I go to this convention, this is going to make it hard for me to go to this. Bloody Wars has been announced. Power Stone. The next day, Sunday, July 28th at 4 o'clock. So if I do Missouri Game Con, and I'm going to be dead tired come Sunday morning. And I also have to unload the car, which is, I may not be in the mood to do that when I get home. So Saturday night. So I may be sitting this one out and probably will. The biggest question is, will JP Pitts enter this convention or not convention, this tournament? And he's been playing coy. And I have actually had to call him out in this press conference saying, well, he's going to decide in a couple of weeks. Like, what kind of cop out is that? That was my response to what he did. So I guess we're going to have to go to him on an answer a little sooner rather than later. But he's got to play in this thing because he's the house high world record holder in Power Stone for a speed run. So he's got to be in this thing. It's ridiculous that he would sit out of it. But after that, Gub & Ghost Arcade T20 tournament, August 9th through the 11th. 21 hours of play time, 20 games in the main tournament, 5 games in the side tournament. Don't know what the side tournament's going to be. We don't know what the games are going to be. In the main tournament, we may have 20 new games. We may have, 10 new games and 10 games off the floor or some other number of games that we've never seen on the arcade floor before. There may be new games in the side tournament. That'd be crazy. That's something Doc didn't do. I kind of suggested that last year that maybe he could have done 21 new games in T20, but registration is open now. You have to go to Gub & Ghost Reproductions. By the way, I need to throw my usual scroll up here. There you go. Go up. Registration is open now. $50 is $50 to enter the tournament. That also includes a 3-day pass to the arcade. So once you play in the tournament, during the tournament hours, you can head over to the Gub & Ghost Arcade and play additional hours on the arcade floor, whatever game you want, each of the 3 days. So buy 2-day passes, get one free, I guess. Or it's equivalent to a week pass. But anyway, this is the 10th one. And I have a streak of 3 side tournaments so far. So we'll have to see if I can get that to 4. If by some miracle I get in the top 3 in the main tournament, that'll be something. We already know that Eric Pearl is traveling back in for this from Canada. So he placed 3rd last time around. He's going to see if he can move up or maybe take the title from one Justin Zerst. We'll see. Further on into August, Kansas City Retro Expo at Overland Park at the Convention Center in 2024. That's in the Kansas side of Kansas City. Pinball, cosplay, art, retro gaming, large vendor hall. I thought about going to this, but I got a couple of conflicts. I'm kind of needed to do videography work, so maybe next year on this. This is a newer convention, the Rock River Valley Video Game Convention in Rockford, Illinois, October 12th and 13th at the Cliff Breakers Conference Center. And I don't know much about this convention, but they're going to have 11,000 square feet of floor space for this convention. So, if you're up in Northern Illinois, maybe you want to go over there the weekend before you go to this, the Pinball Expo, starting October 15th. Actually, you know what? They were going to start this convention. Yeah. Okay. It's Tuesday the 15th, running all the way to Saturday the 19th. And that's to accommodate more pinball tours Tuesday and Wednesday. They're going to do Stern Pinball. I think they're going to do Jersey Jack, maybe American Pinball. I think there's 2 or 3 different factory tours. I've only done the Stern one. I have not done. Wish I was able to do Jersey Jack. I'd like to check that one out, but pets have been an issue, and I have to take care of them, so can't exactly get away to do that. But at least be away for too many days. And I will be defending the Pinball Expo championship that I have. Also, Dan Eckervelli, who was here last week. And let's see. I'm not quite. Hang on. I'm going to jump over to this. So Dan Eckervelli will be running the Video Game Summit during the Pinball Expo this year. I do need some feedback on this. So far, this has been the least listened to interview I've done so far. I kind of wish more people had tuned in or at least come back and watch the replay. I don't know what's going on. Maybe he was not the best talker. I don't know. Or maybe the subject matter wasn't interesting enough. Or there's just not much interest in it. Maybe give me some feedback and let me know what kept you from listening to that episode. I don't know. Maybe it's just your friends, your best friends that you want to listen to the podcast of. But I don't know. Looking for some feedback on that episode last week. But anyway, next Thursday is the 4th of July, and I will not be streaming, or at least I will not be doing the Crimeycade podcast. I'll be watching the fireworks somewhere. We're doing some family things. So it'll be a little bit before, actually, the next episode of the podcast will be on July the 11th. Not next Thursday. It'll be July 11th. I got the podcast guest confirmed about Tuesday of this week, and kind of wished, or actually Monday. I don't know. It's partially my fault, but I have several people, and it's just had a little bit of difficulty securing a guest until the beginning of the work week. But I have 2 weeks again. I'll have 2 weeks to lock in my next guest for the Crimeycade podcast. I don't know who I'm gonna bring in, but we'll see. If you're a gamer and want to appear on a future episode, whisper to me here on Twitch or send an email to lucasst.geo@gmail.com. Of course, you can message me on Facebook. My name, Stephen Lucas. Have that Oh gosh, that background of a hmm. Oh, this. Can I get that up? There we go. I have this background on my profile picture. So if you see that, that's me. And you can message me if you want to appear on the Crimeycade podcast. Um, to appear on the 11th of July or sometime in the future. But that will do it for this edition. One other thing, and I got to throw this up there because I keep forgetting about it. So this did come up, arcade scoring on the Bloodcast yesterday. One Up Arcade in Australia has opened a new scoring house, Coin Up Wars Worldwide Arcade Ranking System. Copy this real quick, create a banner, throw this in here, paste, and throw this banner up there. There you go. That's the website. They are taking scores from all over the world. If you want to submit scores, register for account on this site. They invited me onto this. I have not submitted any scores yet. I need to probably go through my scores that I've done recently at Galpin Ghost and send those in, or whatever I've done in my house, in my Crimeycade in the back of my garage. It is kind of an informal. It's not the end. Like, let's say the rules are not as strict on, like, say, Twin Galaxies, because this is kind of an informal, but you got to prove that you actually did these scores in some form or fashion, without using continues. But these are some of the recent scores that they put in, and they're taking scores now. So if you're a gamer and you want to get into the score chasing community, I mean, you can do some practice here at One Up Arcade at Coin Up Wars. And this is the same site running the Arcade Wars. So join up and see what happens. And finally, I got this up there. I've been meaning to cover this the last few weeks. I haven't. Kept forgetting. But then again, the podcast kept running late, I guess. Of course, I talked for half an hour in the post-interview conference. But anyway, so that's it. I think that I've covered everything. I did talk about the stuff about, Wikipedia and having to correct some misinformation that ended up on that page. But it's now accurate again, so that'll do it. That'll do it for this edition of the Crimeycade podcast. And sure to follow me on Twitch. My replays of this program will end up on my YouTube channel at tiny.cc/PWCI. And till next time, have a great 4th of July Independence Day, and have a good night, everybody.